Welcome to Evolve with Jules. So today I'm going to cover some very simple and practical ways to expand our consciousness. So I'm going to look at the physical body, the mind, and our environment. But first, let me just give you a little backstory. So around 12 years ago is really when my evolutionary journey started, my expansion of consciousness. There'd certainly been experiences throughout the whole of my life running up to that. There was certainly at times I would think, this is a real backward mentality and reality that we live in. I also tended to rebel quite a bit in those early years because I was like, some of these things don't make sense. But it was around 12 years ago where I was really at the point and I was like, no, that's it. This does not add up. We're not born to get educated, to go into some sort of work or career, then get married and have kids and pay bills, and we just loop and loop and loop, and then we die. And what is the point of that? There's got to be more to it than that. So at that point, I was like, I need some knowledge. I need, to find out what is going on here, because I innately know this is not it. So I started to pick up various books, and various knowledge would come into my awareness. But then a number of months after that, or probably a year after that, it was my brother-in-law who came to me at the time and said, do you want to do this fitness program? Now, I was already practicing martial arts, spent 18 years studying and practicing martial arts. I'm a second-dan black belt. So he came along with the Insanity program. Now, anybody, if you are aware, or if you're not aware of the Insanity program, it's a high-intensity workout developed by a guy called Shaun T, which is a 63-day high-intensity program with a full body transformation. So I was like, yeah, this is a challenge. So what I also did was started to research the biochemistry of fat loss, because I was so on this goal of this full body transformation, and obviously these defined abs or this six-pack. So I basically stripped everything out of the diet as well. So I was like, no, this is my goal. Everything gets stripped out. I was so disciplined with what I was putting in the body as I was doing this program. Now, I continued with the Insanity for about 2 years. So after completing the full body transformation and the full program, I did have my body stats done, and there was an actual full body transformation in terms of body composition. It's an amazing workout. I'm certainly not suggesting everybody go out and do an insane workout like Insanity. But I continued for about 2 years. So I hired a space in a hotel and I did classes, and other people came along. But what was I really doing during that period? I'd been consciously guided to partake in this fitness program for reasons that I was unaware of at a super conscious level. But what was I actually doing? I was massively purifying the physical vessel. Unbeknown to me at the time, it took a number of years before I connected the dots, but I was massively purifying the physical vessel. And so what did that do? It literally skyrocketed my evolution and my expansion of consciousness. And if we have a look at, and there's certainly a lot of information, scientific information today, but if we have a look back, and we look back over ancient religious scriptures, spiritual scriptures, texts, things that came from, the masters that went before us, you will see this correlation between fasting and spiritual evolution, purifying the vessel. Now, I'm certainly not saying everybody go out and start fasting, but when we start cleaning this body up, and part of the cleaning of the body up is what we're nutritionally putting into the body, we are going to have a direct effect on our levels of consciousness. Why do we want a elevated level of consciousness? Well, an elevated level of consciousness means we have a higher frequency. If we have a higher frequency, we also have access to a greater amount of energy. We need energy for everything in order to create the life we're currently living. Now, if we're in a higher frequency with the energy that we're using to create our experience, we are going to have a higher level of mind, a higher feeling state, thinking state, emotional state, in terms of our outer reality, because the amount of energy we have also correlates to how much matter we can form and create. So we're going to have an elevated life experience, which we think, not only do we think it's better, but we feel it's better, and the actual experience is elevated. We actually get closer to who we truly are, minus this identity we created for ourselves, which includes a lot of lack, limitation, fear, and negativity. So the physical activity will have a profound effect on your mind, your expansion of your mind, and the expansion of your consciousness. So if you don't have physical activity in your daily life, then I would certainly suggest adding that in. And it doesn't have to be extreme. It doesn't mean, you have to go and do, a certain time every day in the gym. For me personally, I've never been in the gym in my life. It's, for me, I always find it quite boring. They're too regimented. Maybe why I went into martial arts and things like, the high intensity training, walking, hiking, yoga, dancing. It doesn't matter what it is, just include the physical activity, because it will have a profound effect on your evolution and also a profound effect on your mind. Now, in terms of the diet, we already know, we just need common sense. We know what's good for us and we know what isn't. We don't need to make a drastic change from one day to the next, but we can start being conscious about what we're taking in the body, including more fruit and vegetables. Are we hydrating? Are we drinking enough water? And then, just common sense in reducing the processed, the sugary foods, the takeaways, the alcohol, just common sense. And when we have the physical body having a profound effect on the mind, and the mind having a profound effect on the physical body, and we see this scientifically in terms of the placebo effect, the power of the mind. So when you're addressing both the physical activity and what you're putting into what you're actually feeding the body, you have a double effect. So in terms of the mind, again, this profound effect on the body, and the body having this effect on the mind, really, if we limit the nutrition for the mind, which is not contributing to our evolution or the expansion of our consciousness. So what are we feeding the mind in terms of social media, TV, who we're directly conversing with, who we're speaking to? For example, the news, because we've really got to look at what's low frequency and what's high frequency. Now, I can certainly assure you that there is nothing within the mainstream news that is going to be beneficial for somebody's mental, emotional, or physical health. And the reason I say that is because it is of a very low frequency in terms of fear and negativity and drama, and it's quite a heavy experience of doom and gloom, and the world is just such a horrible place if you're continually looking at things like mainstream media news. So we can certainly strip that out. In terms of the TV or social media, are we feeding our minds this fear, drama, negativity, violence? Are we feeding it something which is literally grabbing at our energy in a very addictive way? So it feels very addictive and sort of the thrill of, because there is a sort of thrill in very low frequency fear and drama. There is quite a thrill in that. So it becomes quite addictive. It's certainly a very false, illusional thrill. But again, we can start stripping some of those things out. In terms of the social media, now, again, the social media and the TV and everything else is not negative in and of itself. You know, technology is a great advancement for humanity. But is our social media to such a point that we've, you know, decluttered and weeded out anything of this low vibration and low frequency? Because all of this is going to have a direct effect on our personal lives. Our personal lives are affected by what we feed ourselves on a mind, body and spirit level. Our personal reality is directly affected by that. So again, the social media, are you being inspired and elevated? Are you increasing your level of knowledge? Is it progressing you forward in your own life? Or is it just a mindless loop around fear and drama and negativity? So again, you know, these are very simple things that we can just become conscious of and then start taking action on it. Again, in terms of the environment, exactly the same. What environments are we putting ourselves within? Because we've certainly got a lot of choice and autonomy in terms of the environments we put ourselves in. Your own environment, your living environment, is it clean? Is it tidy? Does it feel pleasant? There is certainly a lot of things we can do within our own living space to increase the frequency of our direct environment. What social settings are we putting ourselves in? Again, we can choose. You know, is this group of people, are they inspiring me and elevating me, or are they devolving me? How do I feel? There's also an energetic effect with the environments we put ourselves in. So, you know, we could be working in certain areas and try as we might to try and improve our own minds and bodies and the actual life we're experiencing. But the environment and the people we surround ourselves with are on a different, resonate at a different level. So what's happening is, if you just look in terms of energy and frequency and vibration, so if we have a cluster, which is an environment, we have a cluster of people which have all got a similar resonance, and we are trying to reach up for a higher resonance and a higher frequency. What's happening is we're getting an entrainment of frequency from the environments that we continually put ourselves in. So it's like taking one foot forward and 2 steps back. So on a silent energetic level, we've got an entrainment of frequency. So it makes it, you know, I'm not saying we can't make that leap, but it just makes it far, far more difficult, because we're constantly being pinged back into a environment that we are choosing to be within. So we can certainly start looking at our environments, the people and you'll have heard this, you'll have seen this written in so many places, how we become a product of the people we spend most time with, how it has a direct impact on us and our lives. So, and this is not, certainly not a case of, well, you know, I'm high over here and somebody's low over there, so I want to condemn and judge those people. And it's certainly not that. You know, we don't want to get into, you know, good and bad and right and wrong, because at a higher level there is no good or right, wrong. It's just our personal choices for what, and our choices for ourselves in terms of what sort of life we want to experience. How do we want to feel, and how do we want to live our lives? Do we want to feel down, depressed, fear, worry, lack, limitation? Do we actually want the experience of that in our direct physical reality? Or do we want a higher experience? Do we want a higher level of awareness, a higher level of consciousness? Do we want higher levels of energy? And do we want an elevated experience for ourselves? And it's, you know, if we can have that elevated experience for ourselves, we can then also inspire others to reach for that elevated experience for themselves. So this has gone on quite a while. I was thinking I was going to have this done in 5 minutes, and I really could go off on the fine detail in terms of the physical body, in terms of the science. You know, I spent 15 years in the pharmaceutical industry. I left around 8 years ago, and so well versed in anatomy and physiology. I worked in various areas, so female health, mental health, gastroenterology, and then moved into transplantation, organ transplantation for a number of years, and then specialist blood products, and then into a rare disease area. So I'm well aware on a scientific, a medical, a physical, how these dots connect in terms of our evolution and our expanded levels of consciousness. I mean, basically the body is miraculous. It's probably the most advanced technology that we have. So I would certainly not underestimate very simple things like exercise, good nutrition, and being very conscious of the environments that you put yourself within. So I will leave that there. Hope that makes sense. And I will catch you next time. Until then, take care. Bye for now.